Iron Point has been the dream target for geologists for decades now.
There's a nice strong corridor that extends up to the north beneath that basalt plateau.
Somebody said, hey, if you had to stake something in Nevada, what would be your favorite property? I said, well, Iron Point.
You drive by, you know, it's an exit on the freeway, and you just can't help but glance over and see the amount of alteration.
The vectors at Iron Point were obvious. It was a big neon sign sitting over top of it that says, start here.
Cal says, Denny, you've got a T-junction between this massive gold belt called Battle Mountain, this massive gold belt called Getchell, and they crash together, and that's Iron Point. And we literally stood on Iron Point, and we stood around and we looked around the landscape. There's a 1 million ounce deposit. There's a 1 million ounce deposit. And we're going, here's where these two massive gold belts are meeting. Something tells me that there's a lot of action there.
The very first company that my father invested in was called Nevada Sunrise. There was a geologist based out in Nevada named Bill Henderson. Bill went out and he started staking ground.
This property was one of the top of my list. I came back out here and started staking. I'd laid out a bunch of claims and I came back out to put the corner posts in a few days later. Somebody pulled my stakes out of the ground and they put their own stakes in.
Bill Henderson passed away sometime, I believe, around 2014. And in 2013, I had my last discussion with him, and I asked him, what property in the Nevada Sunrise portfolio has you the most intrigued? And he immediately said Iron Point. He said it was because of the possibility of having lower plate rock. Lower plate rock is the host for these big, deep, high-grade deposits that Barrick and Newmont are now after. And that's the exact kind of deposit that we're looking for at Iron Point.
Initially, Denny and I were in my little beat-up pickup truck, and I was taking him around and showing him different possibilities that we had. And Denny was helping me put some claim posts in the ground and helping me sample these areas.
You want to be able to take large, cheap land positions. And this is one of the only places you're going to find that. Now you can go to the Walker Lane and find all kinds of cheap land, but it doesn't have the large mines every 20 to 30 kilometers that this place has.
Over there is the Ken Snyder mine. The other side of that is the Hollister mine. And right through that notch, right there, just on the other side of the ridge, is Gold Strike. I believe the resource at Gold Strike is 40 million ounces. Freeport-McMoran drilled all that ground over on that side. Cordex Mines drilled all the ground over there, but no one drilled this ground because the old-timer that had these claims wouldn't deal with either of those companies. He dropped these claims in 2014. I staked them in 2016. The concept here is to acquire a core and build a zone of lode claims around it. We were on a ridge overlooking the Iron Point property, and I said, you know, that thing really sticks out like a sore thumb. When you look at that, that thing says, here's where you had a lot of mineralizing activity. I said, we need that core ground. And Denise said, you know, I think Colin's dad had something to do with this, as I recall. So right on the spot, he calls Colin and says, hey, Colin, does your dad have anything to do with a place called Iron Point? Colin says, yeah, he owns a company that has the claims at Iron Point. And I said, think you can get the ground? He said, sure, we can get the ground. Fine, and then we just staked all around it.
Iron Point has been fragmented for the past 20, 30 years, which means no single company has controlled the entire district. 2015 was the starting point that allowed us to put that together.
The core claims at Iron Point everybody wanted and nobody could get. So the stuff that we ended up getting from Nevada Sunrise was fairly sought after, and we managed to get that stuff.
And then we basically kept growing the claim block around it to the point where today, both areas combined, we have close to 900 claims. Sometimes you get lucky, okay? And on that one, oh, did we get lucky. Oh, did we ever get lucky. Denny got tremendously excited, says, wow, this is great. Is there any other places we can do this? And that started that stepstone down the trend. Where can we go where we can take a land position, where I can take someone like Denny?
Yeah, that's a real good piece, man. Nice.
And get him so excited because he can look in 360 degrees around and see nothing but monster gold deposits. There's no other place in the world. That was the start of Nevada King. Right now, we're sitting pretty good. And this stood out as a beacon.
What's the source that's feeding these anomalous geochem numbers?
That intercept, that looks a heck of a lot like what you see up at Getchell.
You're really right in the middle of gold country. You've got elephants all around you.